What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and it's Top 10 Thursday. If you've been subscribed for a while, you know that my favorite series of all time is Final Fantasy. I've played every version of every game, including the weird cell phone tie-ins, but today I'm going to do the impossible. Let's dig back through the greatest franchise ever made to count down the best of the best on my picks for the top 10 Final Fantasy games. Number 10. Final Fantasy XII. One of the basic rules of storytelling is to have a clear main character. This helps people connect with their struggle and understand the world better because they see the fight through one set of eyes. Final Fantasy XII strangely manages to avoid doing this while still somehow also weaving a deep, complex plot. In the land of Evil East, there are evil empires, wonderful airships, and terrible monsters everywhere, but our cast of heroes is willing to brave these dangers in order to save their kingdom. Perhaps the element that makes this game stand out the most is the combat system. Your team can move around freely during battles, or you can freeze the action and treat it like a classic turn-based RPG. You can even program your party members to attack and defend however you see fit. It's a very unique, flowing style, but it honestly fits everything else about this game so well. Number 9. Final Fantasy IV. What would you do if you were a soldier in an army and you were ordered to destroy a town full of innocent men, women, and children? Do you carry out the commands you are given, or choose instead to go on the run, hiding for the rest of your life? Hard moral decisions like this are what lie at the heart of Final Fantasy IV. Cecil the Dark Knight is put in a difficult spot when he must decide between the royal family who raised him or taking up a path of light that'll force him to leave behind everyone he knows. What I always enjoyed about Final Fantasy IV is that our journey takes so many twists and turns. Heroes die, villains win, and old friends sometimes become deadly enemies during the course of our experience. You truly have no idea what to expect as you enter the next dungeon. With each new area you explore, you have to wonder who will still be alive by the time you leave. Number 8. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. This series is full of some really epic projects, and yet what you don't see very often is great multiplayer. Crystal Chronicles broke the mold by turning this fantastic universe into a cooperative adventure where we can team up with friends in real life to fight twisted beasts and earn levels. A mysterious fog has begun to cover the planet, turning normal animals into hideous creatures and instantly killing those who accidentally breathe it in. It's now our job to use the last of the power within the crystal to push back the darkness and hopefully find a way to rid the world of this airborne poison once and for all. Nintendo really wanted this to be a completely one-of-a-kind style of multiplayer fun, so they actually invented a new method of play just for this. By plugging your Game Boy into your console, each player gets their own screen for equipping weapons, using potions, and preparing magic for some huge chain attacks. Working together with your buddies to beat some of these tough bosses and discovering the secrets of Crystal Chronicles for yourself is simply amazing. Number 7. Final Fantasy XV. Although this game just came out a month ago, I already love Final Fantasy XV. This entry of the franchise is so different that it nearly seems like one of the spin-offs. Our tale follows Prince Noctis and his bodyguards, 4 men on a road trip to visit a nearby kingdom when suddenly their hometown is invaded. Seeing no other option, they determine that the only way to reclaim the throne is to track down all the hidden tombs of past kings to unlock the power that Noctis needs to wipe out this wicked robot army. This might sound like your regular good versus bad storyline, but it manages to feel like much more than that due to the super interesting characters. For the first time ever, this is a fully open world Final Fantasy. We're able to go anywhere and do anything we want with our party. From taking on bounties to earn cash, riding chocobos through the forest, or even something as silly as fishing. Noctis and his companions seem so human. By the end of their quest together, I genuinely thought of my teammates as nothing short of brothers. Number 6. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. As a company, Square Enix is pretty random about when they make sequels or prequels, and this one is so mind-blowing I don't think gamers ever saw it coming. Crisis Core takes us through the events leading up to Final Fantasy VII, having us play as a member of Shinra's Special Forces. Zack may carry a giant sword and have insane strength, but even that might not be quite enough to keep him safe in this war zone. One day, he's assigned the mission of tracking down a person known as Genesis. Towards the beginning, this appears to be a straightforward task, a typical case of a runaway soldier, but the more we dig into things, the more we uncover the dark business that Shinra's been up to. Within this conflict, there are a lot of detailed layers to every situation, which at the end leaves us questioning if victory is ever possible in a war this brutal. Crisis Core delivers its deep message through some of the most beautifully done cutscenes of the entire franchise. From the opening speech by Sephiroth to the dramatic ending showdown, you won't want to pause your PSP for a second. Number 5. Final Fantasy X. Titus is just a normal guy stuck in the middle of a crazy mess. While competing in a match of his favorite sport, Blitzball, a massive demon appears in the city, ruthlessly slaying all the citizens and teleports Titus 1,000 years in the future. Awakening on a beach, he soon finds out that this is a very different world than what he's used to. Mankind has sworn off technology, choosing to live a more simple lifestyle in fear of angering the huge demon Sin once again. The tiny glimmer of hope that the land of Spira holds on to lies with a lone summoner named Yuna. If she can successfully make a pilgrimage to all the lost temples and receive the blessing of the gods, she can bring about an age of peace. Our hero Titus joins in this adventure as one of her guardians, and as you can imagine, we get our fair share of action. This was one of the last Final Fantasies that featured old-school turn-based mechanics. Fighting all feels great, and the leveling system is really intricate, allowing us to fully customize how each character plays all the way down to their base stats. It's a game where you can easily spend over 100 hours getting all the strongest swords and armor, while still enjoying every random battle you get caught in. Number 4. Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions. In this project, you'll have to master some seriously strategic gameplay if you want to make it far. Think of it as a large digital chessboard, but every piece can fit multiple roles. All the units we recruit into our army can be trained for whatever job we need them for. Samurai, archers, wizards, and much more are all classes we can gain access to by surviving in harsh battles. Watching these soldiers march into combat never seems to lose its charm because each match takes so much concentration. Tactics is built around the concept that in life, every move we make matters, and they wanted this to reflect not only in our fighting, but also in the exceptionally well-written story. The ill-fated hero Ramza was a noble son in a very rich family, but chose to cast aside his royal duties in honor of joining the army and personally keeping the people safe. In his search for justice, though, he quickly discovers that there are far more evils at work here than just simple bandits and monsters. The lore and history in this project is so deep that fans are still picking it apart and debating its true meaning today. Number 3. Final Fantasy VI. There are few 16-bit RPGs that have ever come close to the sheer awesomeness of FF6. Many of the elements you think of first when it comes to Final Fantasy were originally developed here. Side missions, master weapons, and long, dramatic conversations with bad guys all really started to come about in this one game. Just the opening scene of mechs walking over a snowy hill flawlessly sets the mood for the incredible tale that is about to unfold. In this artsy steampunk land, magic is mostly forgotten, that is until ancient beings called espers begin to appear, bringing about a new age of spellcasting. Knowing that these freshly made magi could be a threat, the Empire makes its goal to capture and enslave all the gifted people they can in an effort to ensure that the government can remain in control. The head general in charge of this task is Kefka, a sadistic clown who's been given his own magical talents with some sort of experimental technology. Our stage is now ready for the ultimate showdown as our group of characters must face off against the overwhelmingly massive strength of the Empire and the small chance that they can claim victory and finish off Kefka's reign of terror. It still melts my brain even now when I think about how incredibly fun this game is, and it was all designed by a few dudes way back in 1992. Number 2. Final Fantasy IX. Square Enix has altered the core battle system of this series a bit with each new entry we got, but no place do I think they nailed it better than in Final Fantasy IX. At first glance, this may look like every other classic JRPG, but what makes it unique is character combos and really difficult elemental-based bosses. Our heroes all have different specialties from a lifetime of training, and by mixing up our party members, you can discover new ways to add their might together. For example, Vivi the Black Mage can throw around some vicious fire, fire, and yet, if you really want to burn your foes, you can instead have him shoot his flames on Steiner the Knight's sword for triple the damage. If they use this combination against a rough plant enemy, it will do even more damage on top of that. Killing foes with these abilities can boost your XP and level you up faster, along with helping you gain new skills from the equipment we wield. Just looking at the gameplay, you could assume that this is one of the more lighthearted Final Fantasies because of the cutesy animation style, when really this is perhaps the darkest entry in the entire franchise. The plot in 9 focuses on a young princess named Garnet who finds herself caught between rival factions in a heated war that threatens to literally tear the planet apart. Throughout our quest, we see gorgeous cities burned to ash, cold-hearted villains flaunting their power, and even those with the best intentions losing their way. Despite all the horrors we go through, the true beauty of this project is how badly it just makes you want to fight even harder. Number 1. Final Fantasy VII. How could I put anything but this at the very top of the list? This project is an absolute masterpiece that changed how people saw gaming for years to come. We start off as a confused young man, leaving a train, ready to blow up a power reactor for a paycheck, only to learn that sometimes small actions can have major consequences. Final Fantasy VII subtly conveys an extremely important set of themes about how real people grow and change over time. Every character who joins us in our path to saving the world from Sephiroth also carries with them their own complex motivations. Whether it be Red 13 trying to cope with the possibility of being the last of a dying species, or Barrett's deep desire to protect his daughter from the harsh reality their world has become, each facet of this adventure shows us a raw look at how people actually deal with problems. This is more than just a good plot made by dedicated writers. This is the lasting result of passionate developers who knew they had the rare talent needed to craft an utterly perfect piece of fiction. On top of all that, there's a stellar combat system that keeps your heart racing as you pray for the next big attack against some giant foes. I almost forgot to mention that there's even a snowboarding minigame. Really, what more do I have to say than that? For its legendary story, awesome materia-based fighting system, and epic cutscenes, I am awarding this my pick as the best Final Fantasy game ever. Did your favorite game not make the list? Got an idea for a future top 10? Leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. As some of you may know, I love learning little trivia about some of my favorite games. And you know what? Here's a fun one for you. Did you know that Xenogears was originally going to be the real Final Fantasy VII? Yeah. Even though it has tons of robots and weird philosophical concepts, this was at first going to be Final Fantasy VII. That's really weird to think about. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, maybe check out my last video. Please subscribe, and if you want, share this somewhere with your friends.